Okay. FSBC Library, authors chats, authors interviews. I can't even remember what the title of this thing is now. Part 2 with Musette22, also known as Minnie, the incredibly popular person on Tumblr, the incredibly talented author. Writing when English isn't your first or only language. Is that a problem?
Yeah. I feel like it is sometimes. I think, first of all, why are you trying to make me blush? Because that was a really, really sweet intro, actually, and I can't deal. Anyway, very cute. But yeah, it's tricky because obviously I don't know as many words as a native speaker probably would. I just have like a more limited vocabulary, and it means that I keep repeating the same phrases. I feel like it gets repetitive sometimes. And I try not to think about that too much, because if you do, then you're just going to get insecure about your writing. But I do feel like when I read other people's work, they're much more like, it's much more engaging because they use things that I wouldn't think of myself. Like, I know what they mean, the expressions and the words, I just wouldn't usually use them because I haven't had cause to use them before. So that means that it feels, less rich, I guess, my writing than a native speaker's writing would. You know what I mean?
Well, please take the compliment out of this, but when Sarah and I were talking, and Sarah had been talking to you about, I think it might have been about an interview or something, and came back and said, oh my God, English isn't her only language. And I nearly died. I would never, ever have picked up on that from your fix.
Never.
Would you not? Are you sure?
I would not.
Never.
Huh.
No.
Never.
Oh, that's reassuring. Thanks, guys. I feel like
there's like there's a lot of things that you've said in your fix that are like, sayings and things like that, make you sound like you're a native English speaker. Like until you told me where you were from, I legitimately thought you were American or English or something, or that was your first language is English.
That is good to know. That is really nice actually to hear, because I do worry about it. I'm like, because it's also slower, my writing process, because I need to think about things more, and I need to be like, I'm always double checking things on Google just to be like, does this really mean what I think it means? Because you don't want to say something and then have people sort of be pulled from your like reading your fic because they're like, what does that mean? Like, where did that come from? So I want to be careful with that, but that does mean that it's slower going, than I think it would if I wasn't a native speaker. But yeah.
Do you think it gives you any advantages then, like over someone who only speaks English, having a secondary, well, not really a secondary language, seeing as it's your primary, but having that multiple language skill? It's definitely not something that I've got, but
I think it's I don't know if it's an advantage when I'm writing, but it is in day-to-day life. I think it's just like sometimes I'll hear somebody say something and I'll be able to sort of translate it in my head and know what they mean, even though they're not saying it correctly. Like if it's not a native speaker and they're saying something that means something in French, that might mean the same thing in Dutch, but it's not how you say it in English. I might still understand what they mean, that sort of thing. It's tricky to explain properly, but there's an advantage there, I think. But when I'm writing, I think it's mostly just a disadvantage, to be honest, especially because I'm used to British spelling and like British expressions because I lived in London, and the guys that I write about are obviously American. So sometimes I'm just like unsure about spelling and that sort of thing. But I do have a great beta who's actually not a native speaker either, but she is amazing, and you wouldn't be able to tell because she sounds American and she's great at English. So we work it out together, I guess. But yeah, sometimes it's tricky.
See, it makes me laugh sometimes because I'll be reading a fic and suddenly there'll be a phrase in there that I know is only Australian, or they'll do something that I know is only British. Like there was one, I can't remember what it was now. It was one I was reading today. It was actually one I added to the library, and there was a line about he clicked the switch on the kettle for a cup of tea, and I went, that is not an American author. Like they don't. There's no electric kettles in America. That is not. And then another one, oh, I can't remember who the author is now, but they always talk about coffee. I'll have a flat white. I'm like, no, that's an Australian thing. So this author is
right.
obviously Australian.
It's getting popular. That is getting very popular in the United States, though, this flat white thing. So I think that that's something else that the Americans are stealing from you guys, unfortunately.
We use it too. Well, the Brits do, and we're using it now too. But I think this is gaining popularity. It's true. But yeah, there's some expressions.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny that Jill says that she doesn't speak another language, because the truth is that Australian slang. The Australian slang is a whole nother language. It's a whole nother language.
That's a dialect, is it?
There is one phrase that is so Aussie that it means something completely different in Australia to what it does in everywhere else in the world. I'm rooting for you.
Right. I know what that means in US English, but what does it mean?
I know about this one.
I'm dying here. I'm so dying here.
I'm scared.
It's so funny.
Basically, the direct translation for that is rooted is that is fucked. So if you're rooting for someone, you're fucking for someone.
I've literally never heard of that. Rooting, really?
Yes, and it is, and it's not ROUTE, like, and we don't pronounce that route. We pronounce that route. So
right.
It's ROOT. So there is this very there's this very Aussie saying. It's like to compare a guy to a wombat. It's like, what do you mean? And, you know, and someone says, why is he a wombat? Well, he eats roots and leaves.
Right.
It's a total play on words. It makes no sense.
Oh, gotcha.
It makes no sense anywhere.
No, but it makes you laugh.
See, I love language. I just love language and like the differences and like different areas. And just like in the States, there's so many different sayings that like I catch myself saying that like nobody else would say just because the part of the States I'm from. And sometimes I'll say stuff in the Discord and they'll be like, what does that mean?
Isn't it amazing? And it's the same language. It just depends on where in the world you're from speaking that language.
It's really neat though. I think that language is fascinating.
And it really makes me laugh though that so I was at one point studying English literature and had a lot to do with dialect and the evolution of language. And I was speaking to a linguist, and the Australian accent is actually probably the only accent in the world which is not an accent. It is a total lack of accent because we don't move our tongues enough.
It's laziness.
It's lazy.
The Australian accent is pure laziness.
That's what makes you sound like you.
That's what makes you sound like a cross between drunk Irishman and I don't know somebody else. But the Australian accent is pure laziness because we do not move our tongues enough to actually enunciate words properly.
Well, you know, you sound it's a very distinct accent, so I feel like you made it work. It's now special.
You don't have time to move your tongue when you're running from these giant spiders, deadly poisonous snakes, and other monsters.
You have to have priorities. Speaking is not one. Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, no, there are the occasional phrases and stuff that pop up in fics that just make me suddenly go, this author is not from America and whatever else. But genuinely, I will say, never once did I think that of your fics. It wasn't until Sarah told me that you weren't American that it was like, what? Really?
That's I mean, because when I was writing On the Back of a Raindrop, I sent it to Andy, who was bettering it for me. She's a Paper Storm. She's amazing. And she said that I was using the word pergola, and she was like, what the hell is a pergola? And what I meant was like a sort of a gazebo type thing.
Pergola.
I knew what that was.
Oh, you do?
It's a pergola.
So everybody pronounces it differently, but she's Canadian. So she was like, I don't know what this is. and I think you mean this. And I was like, but we just got
it's the same thing. You can use it interchangeably with a gazebo. That's more what American
basically
Canadians would call it.
Right.
But that's like the beautiful, that's like the eloquent version of it.
Okay.
Well, no,
So
there is actually a difference. There is actually a difference. A gazebo is I'm trying to think of the words for it now. So a gazebo is larger.
Right.
Oh, okay.
A gazebo can, like, covers more than just a couple of people, whereas a pergola is mainly, it's a more intimate setting. It's for like up to 5 people.
Right. Okay. So there's a difference actually in.
So there is actually a difference, but they are used interchangeably. I am such a fountain of useless information. Sorry.
No, actually, where were you when I was writing this fic?
Go back and edit it, and I'll get, just give me fact check credit.
Will do.
I love it.
But yeah, it's just all sorts of wonderful little things like that
Exactly.
over time these things become interchangeable because they are essentially the same thing. It's just a size difference.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, interesting.
It's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun.
Cool. Now this is purely like self-indulgent, but I have to ask, why did you actually change your mind and agree to do an interview with us? Because I mean, I'm well aware that the first answer was a thank you, I'm flattered, but no. But
well, that wasn't actually what I meant to convey. What I meant to convey was I'm flattered, but I'm insecure about my speaking, I would say. So can we do a written interview? That was sort of like what I was angling for. But then I realized that would mean like a lot of extra work for you guys, because you'd have to like I don't know, either transcribe it or I don't know, it would just mean extra work, whereas it would just be easier to chat to you guys and also probably funner. I was just like being difficult, and then I realized that I shouldn't do that. So I was like, okay,
I think your voice is beautiful. I think your accent is beautiful.
Oh, thanks, guys. I feel awkward. I'm probably not even going to listen to this because I can't listen to my own voice, but
it really is odd.
I can attempt to switch the automatic subtitles on the YouTube video that I send you, but I can't guarantee that they'll be accurate.
They'll be accurate. No, no, it's totally fine. I just realized that it was it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't talk to you guys, because it's really fun. I always think it's really fun to talk to like-minded people about things that we love and just have a nice chat, and that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm glad that I said yes.
I'm really glad Sarah actually gave me the push I needed to get these started, because I've never had so much fun as doing these podcasts. Exactly. Like, okay, the intros are dodgy.
They're just 1% of the whole thing, so that's fine.
That's all good. Rightio. So now I have to ask, because I ask everybody this question, of your own work, what is your favorite? Now I know this is like asking someone to choose their favorite child or their favorite pet or
really
whatever.
Is. Yeah. I thought about this because I thought you might ask me this, but then I end up going like, it's probably this one or this one or this one, but I think I'm going to go with Coming Up Easy. I don't know if you guys have read that one, but it's one that I wrote for the Stucky Big Bang, I think, in 2020, and it's just really like easygoing. It's very much like two guys isolated in a beautiful place somewhere in Massachusetts, and they're just getting to know each other, falling in love. There's a few pets around. Nothing happens. There's no plot. It just feels. And that's really sort of my vibe. I really enjoy writing that.
Yes. So, okay. Sorry, I just found it. Yes, it is amazing.
Yeah. Okay, Jill, read the description or the summary.
Cool. So, listen, I was just thinking, Steve says, his face open, eyebrows raised, an attentively hopeful expression. Why don't you come stay at my place for a while? I've got an office that I barely use, and a change of scenery might do you good, right? Help you beat that writer's block. With a crooked smile, he adds, I promise I'm not a serial killer. And while Bucky would normally crack a joke about how that's exactly what a serial killer would say, right now, all he can do is blink at Steve in surprise, heart tripping over itself in his chest. Steve wants him to come and stay at his place in Massachusetts. Just the two of them. Oh, Bucky croaks. Wow. I mean, no pressure, Steve says hastily. Totally fine if you don't want to. I just thought I'd offer in case it might help, you know? Yeah, Bucky ignores a little voice in his head that sounds an awful lot like Nat and Becca telling him he's setting himself up for heartbreak. I mean, if you're sure, that would be amazing. Holy shit, it is brilliant.
And that's just, you know, my crack, basically. I love miscommunications, guys pretending that they're just being, you know, it's just easier this way and being selfless, whatever, like we're just pals, you know, we're fine. And then secretly they're just like, oh my God, he asked me to come and stay with him. And, you know, that whole vibe, I love that. And we have
in the tags, we also have DIY, tooth rotting fluff, eventual smart, like it's, oh yeah, everything is beautiful and nothing hurts.
Very true. That one.
And every now and then you just need one of those fics.
Don't you? I feel the same way. The thing is, I suck at writing angst. Like I'm really bad at it. My angst is usually like one chapter and it gets resolved really quickly because I just can't make them like go through pain. I just can't do it.
They've suffered enough. They have suffered enough.
That's how I feel. But then, you know, obviously sometimes you do need angst, like because it's so cathartic sometimes to just, you know, cry your eyes out because of these people and you know that it's gonna turn out fine in the end and whatever. So I'm so grateful for everybody who's good at writing angst and I love reading it. I just can't write it. I'm just leaving that to other people. But yeah, we all have our strengths, I guess.
I'm actually trying to keep a list going of the fics that we've spoken about so I can actually link them in the post I make, and I keep forgetting to write them down. Because I'm very special like that. Okay, so the question that everybody wants to know, because it usually gives us new reading material, what is your favorite piece of Stucky work by anybody ever? Anything?
Well, I have to say, and it's a very uninspired trite answer, but it's got to be Not Easily Conquered, NEC, because it changed my life. It changed me as a person, and I can't say that about like a lot of different pieces of literature. It's like it made more of an impact on me than a lot of published work ever did. So it has to be that one. And I don't know if you guys read it, but it's a slightly different, I guess, from what I usually read, but it's in its own league, you know.
It is.
I have not read it.
I need to bring it up.
I have not read it, and I want to.
Yeah, I mean, prepare yourself because you're gonna cry. I cried for like 2 days straight, and then for a week after. So it's a lot, and it's weird because it's got a lot of staggy, and that's usually not my thing at all. But it's worth it for the story. It's just a beautiful love story, and it's so well written. And it's
no. So that's the one where he survived the plane, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he survives the plane crash. He marries Peggy. He thinks Bucky's dead, and then obviously Bucky shows up at some point, and then. But yeah,
spoilers.
I mean, no, I feel like, you know, it's Stucky fic.
Well, it is.
Yeah, I won't say anything else.
Yeah.
I won't say anything else.
No. It's all good. I will sort of give a little thing on this one that there is some minor spoilers. We won't go into details with it, but a lot of the conflict that's in that fic, it reads so real. Like it comes across as, you know, it genuinely feels like you're reading someone's diary, like you're looking over someone's shoulder when this is happening.
Exactly. Like,
there's
just the way it was written.
I found in a lot of fics when they set up arguments between characters, a lot of the argument doesn't feel natural. Like it's too much like you're hitting a script. And in this one, it feels like a real argument. Like, you know, things are said that are genuine regrets later on. And it's
exactly. It's so natural, and I don't know, it's just like you said, usually a lot of the time when you're reading fanfic, you know roughly like what's going to happen, and there's certain phrases that everybody uses, and you know it's fine because that's part of the experience, and I enjoy that, like having those fixed points that crop up every time, you know. But this fic is just completely different. It just it does something really different with the the Captain America premise, and it also is split in different parts that all do something different. And I don't know, it just felt like a completely separate thing to me from other kinds of fan fiction. But also because, like you said, it's so well written, and it's just very realistic. So much like historical detail as well. Yeah, it just is very extremely engaging, and it made me cry a lot. So
does that one have more than one author?
It does. It's 2 authors.
Okay,
It's
that's what I thought.
Drop Dead Dreams and
What Are Fears?
What Are Fears? That's the one. Yeah. And they sort of are fandom legends, I guess. They've disappeared after a while, and but the fic lives on. It's very.
There's a few authors I'm coming across that are like that, who were active for a chunk of time and then just haven't been seen since 2018.
Exactly.
Or
like the one that we just read, Knife Skills. Oh my gosh. Like it's called Knife Skills.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's just like epic. And I just want so much more from her. And like, I feel like it was published, I don't know, 2017 or something. And the person's not been heard from.
That's such a bummer when that happens. Yeah.
But even people like, Oh Captain, My Captain, like who have some of like one of their fics is in the top 10 by kudos, by hits, whatever, and it's unfinished.
And
it's an incomplete fic. Like to have a fic that is so well written that it stays up at that height for how many people have read it, how many people keep going back to it, and it's not a completed fic. Like it's insane.
I know.
Insane.
I think it's partially to do with when it was published, because obviously the Captain America fandom was like at its height during 2014, 15, 16, something like that, I guess. So back then it got much more hits and kudos and stuff than it does now. But it's also, some of these fics are just so well written that you're just like, oh my God, people publish this for free. Like they spent their own personal time writing these things and then just gave them to us. And it's like mind-blowing sometimes.
See, that's how I feel about like some of Speranza's stuff. Like 20th Century Limited is probably one of my favorite fics of all time. It's
incredible.
Like literally, I don't know. Like I remember I was like screaming at the girls to read. We still haven't read that one, but we will eventually, because I feel like sometimes I dominate the like what we decide to read. I'm like, I'll like put like 5 out there and they're like, okay, I guess we'll read this one.
Actually,
everybody gets this.
Because I keep your fingers crossed for me, because I'm waiting to hear back from Speranza about an interview. So
that would be amazing.
I don't know if I could do that one. Because it's funny, because my other fandom, one of my other fandoms is Sherlock BBC. And that's where I first encountered Speranza. And when I saw she was writing Stucky, I flipped out. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like an overlap here. So that was really exciting.
That is exciting. And it's funny that you should mention that, because I've been having a John Locke phase lately. I've been
oh my God. I can wreck you some. I have
that would be great. That would be great. Thanks for that. But Stucky will always be my number one, but they're fun, John Locke. Yeah.
See, it's so odd, because so many of the people who we're talking to have another ship from another entirely different, fandom, whatever. And I'm sitting over here going, no, this is my only one. Like,
no, but I feel that completely, because for the past 5 years, I have done nothing but read Stucky fic and write Avenstan and Stucky. It's just those two has been it for me. And I think it's gonna probably stay like that, writing wise, at least forever. Like I'm not planning on writing anything else ever, basically.
See, I used to, a very long time ago, write fan fiction. I started. I
was going to ask you guys that.
I started with. So I used to write Harry Potter, Buffy, Supernatural when it first started. Pirates of the Caribbean, like that was my little world. But I never went to ships outside of what was canon, really. The closest
Right?
I came to that was crossovers with Supernatural and Buffy, because Dean and Buffy just belong together. Like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
Here we go.
Oh, I've never thought about that.
Oh, like, you've got like two of the most sarcastic people in the world who are out there trying to kill monsters and demons and vampires and shit. Of course you're going to throw them together. And even better if they don't know who each other is. Like, yeah.
You've got a point. Yep.
So that was and there was, I think there may have been one really random AU for Lord of the Rings where everyone was in high school.
I cannot.
That's my background.
Cannot.
The last fic that I was writing was 2009. So we're not picking up that gauntlet again. Like,
that's when I graduated high school. Jill, that's when I graduated high school.
I was out by 6. Look, I finished in 2003, all right? Just yes, I know I'm old.
I feel like we're all similar ages, I think.
So I do have a Harry Potter one on my AO3 account, and I just need to delete it. Like, I'm scared that now that like we're doing this, somebody's gonna see it, and then I'm actually gonna have views and stuff, because I probably am never gonna finish it. But
I mean, now that you mention it, I might go and check it out.
Oh my God, no, oh my God. I really had such grand plans for this one, but
Look, all of my stuff is very safely posted on fanfiction.net. Under a username that I don't think anybody would connect to me anymore. In any way,
Aussie Wombat 45.
This is a real friendship, I can tell.
There are no wombats involved here. Thank you very much. But it's so I've got stuff out there, but then I went through this whole thing where, like, you know, I not so much grew up. I still haven't done that, but I got a job. I moved around the country, all this sort of stuff, and I basically just forgot that fan fiction was a thing. Like, it just didn't sort of occur to me anymore. And then I watched basically all the Marvel movies as they came out, like, you know, in order of release from Iron Man, whatever else. Went, this is really cool. I really love what's happening here. Yeah. Watched Endgame and went, what the fuck?
Thank you.
I think everybody else felt that way too.
Like, it like up until that moment, it was brilliant, and then I'm going to get this. I'm going to live to have this, get a bit of this life, or whatever the phrase was. And I went, huh? Like, but
I have PTSD. I cannot watch it. I have PTSD from that.
Same. I cannot even think about it. I will not reblog anything to do with Endgame. It's a sore point.
And it's horrible, because there are so many parts of that movie that were brilliant, and there are so many parts of that movie that I just, like, I'm in the cinema going, yes. And then that happened, and I just went, how can a 2-minute sequence just destroy this entire build-up of however many movies and whatever it had been?
Yeah, it was tragic, absolutely tragic. And it's such a shame, because they could have done so many different things. I know that they had to get Chris out there, and I like out of there, and I know that they had to wrap things up, but like as we've seen, there are very, very many different scenarios that could have happened that we've now all written in our Fix It Fix, and they should have just consulted us, to be honest, because they mucked it up.
I'm sorry, but there's no damn way in this world ever, in any universe, would Steve leave Bucky. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. It just makes no sense.
Multiverse, even the most, I don't know. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in my mind. It's not even it's not even a consideration.
And not just that, but like, he wouldn't go back to the 50s when things were like way worse in terms of human rights and like just general cultural development. It just makes no sense.
Exactly, right. And have to and go back with the knowledge that he could not do anything to change anything, that he had to basically go back and hide. Like, that's not a life, for starters. But anyway, so after that, I kind of got a little bit disillusioned by the whole MCU and whatnot. And then WandaVision came out, and I kind of went, well, I'll watch it, because, you know, I want to kind of see where they go, and maybe they can fix something, or I don't know, but we'll see what happens. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, and I went, I'm going to watch it. Like, I'm going to watch this one. And I actually ended up so invested in the story that I was actually hanging out for the next episode. And I haven't been like that with a TV show or a movie or anything for such a long time.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole thing with like the rolling down the hill together bit. And I'm like, every fan fiction author in the world who supports, you know, the Bucky and Sam pairing is going to leap on this. Like rolling down the hill together like that and landing on top of each other. I'm like, that's it. So I looked it up and then I suddenly went, hey, there's Stucky. Why didn't I think of that? Like,
so yeah.
Oh, I
so
love
mine
that
is
you
kind of similar. Like my previous ship in the MCU, the one that started everything for me and kind of led me to Stucky is Frost Iron. I had like months and months of that, like reading that. I was obsessed with Tom Hiddleston. He was like the new thing for me. And then basically what happened is I kind of like got into the Sam Bucky stuff, just sort of like Jill after watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then I found Stucky and was like, oh my God, there is no other pairing for me right now.
Yeah. I like that you guys came like into it from that direction. It's very, I feel like it's unusual. More people sort of jump ship the other way around, I feel, and that they came to Stucky this way. But I really like that you guys recognize the power of Stucky.
Yeah, like it. So the first couple of fics that I looked up. Now, the only reason I rejoined AO3 was because I had a bet with one of my sister-in-law's friends over a New Year's Eve party that you know that what I can't remember the rule 32 or whatever it is, that if there is someone thought of it, there's porn about it or whatever.
Right.
And someone's like, there is no such thing as porn to do with Frozen. Like, you know, the kids cartoon.
There is.
So I went, I can prove that there is. Found
there
it,
is.
joined AO3 so I could prove it. And then forgot about it again. Like, it didn't cross my mind that there was fan fiction about the MCU, like only one of the biggest movie series and stuff. Like,
just didn't think of it.
Yeah, I saw that post. We've got 61,000 Stucky stories.
Isn't it amazing? It's incredible. So many stories. Mind-blowing.
It just says something. Like, I feel like we need to do a podcast about like just talking about like their relationship. Like just kind of like, it's like such an overarching like it's just the love story for the ages. I feel like there is no other one that's like comparable to this.
Exactly.
Like,
everything else that I think is a great love story just sort of pales in comparison, because it's like, yeah, but you guys didn't either grow up together or like think you died and then came back, or went to a new century together or had to fight for each other. That's all. Like, everybody has one of these things and maybe two, but Stucky has all of them.
exactly.
And it's like,
it hits all the buttons, checks all the boxes.
Exactly.
Look, there is no way he went back in time without taking Bucky with him or planning on coming back. So my headcanon is that he actually meant to come back, and then that whole he overshot the mark meant he ended up like 20 years in the future, and now he's got to wait for the rest of them to catch up because he can't come back again. Like, that's,
I don't know, maybe he has brain damage or something from all that.
Honestly, I feel like
Maybe
he's
that's
either
what it is. I don't know.
imposter or like
It has to be. I'm
too
convinced.
traumatized. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, not good.
there's actually, I can't remember the name of this fic now, but I'm gonna have to look it up, because there's one where old Steve still appears on the chair, like if there's all this time travel sort of stuff has happened, but Steve comes back late. So he comes back like 3 or 4 months after that bit in Endgame. And so the old Steve has handed over the shield to Sam, and all that sort of stuff still happened. And then they end up being that, you know, they get back together, they live happy ever after, whatever. And then it is actually Steve who's comes back to give the shield to Sam. But it's the Steve who came back 3 months late, who lived another 100 years with Bucky, and then came back to hand over the shield.
Oh,
like,
right.
I read that and went, oh, wow.
That works for me.
That's brilliant. Like,
Brilliant.
that's really good. And it's actually toward the end of it where, because, you know, all the handover stuff happens, and then it's like the last chapter, whatever. And they're sitting there and they're both like old and whatever. And Bucky looks at Steve and goes, you know what? It actually was you who took that shield back. Like, this missing person this entire time, it was you, but it's you now.
Yeah. I mean, it's so ingenious, and everybody who manages to make any sense of that time travel business in the MCU has my eternal respect. Like, that's so impressive. I don't even understand what's happening, let alone like to write a whole fic about it, but it's very impressive.
So how much time do we have left, Jill? Because
We
I have a bone to pick with you.
We have 2 minutes.
Okay,
and 46
Minnie,
seconds.
why did you do that to me? What you posted yesterday? Oh my God. Holy shit.
Oh, I'm so
So
glad that you liked it.
This is how it happened. So Maddie sent me the GIF on
Right.
Tumblr.
The video.
And then I said, oh my God, someone needs to fic it. You need to do this. And then she says, oh, guess what? Minnie's already done so. So I'm like, I had a moment.
You had a moment that you shared with the rest of us in the library. So none of us at all were possibly reading this like while working or while, you know, meant to be sleeping or anything like that. No, it wasn't us. Like,
Good. Very impressive self-control there. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that I didn't make it more smutty, because then that would have been awkward probably if you were at work. But yeah, I just felt like, you know, that video, everybody was like, oh my God, look at these guys. And it's so sensual, you know?
They're so beautiful. Oh my
Beautiful. God. Amazing. It was enthralling. So I was like, okay, I'll write the fic. Or I'll try at least. And then I just went with it.
You did more than try. You nailed it. Like, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
It was brilliant.
I was smiling the whole time. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I need a sequel to this.
I will do my best. Because obviously
I need like the alley sex scene. That's what I need. Yeah. That's what I need.
I don't think I've ever written that, so I might actually give that a go, because there's some potential there for some really good smut, I think.
Yes.
If you do that, then obviously Sarah needs a dedication. I mean,
no.
It's all good. Anyway, we are down to less than a minute left. Thank you so much for talking to us. This has been absolutely brilliant, and I really do hope you'll come back again another time one day when we get around to doing our tequila talks.
Oh, brilliant. I love those. I mean, I haven't heard of it, but I love it already.
See, I'm scared what we would end up saying. I'm scared of what things we would end up saying. Just like me, Minnie, I don't know if you didn't listen to the Welcome to the FSBC thing, but I got a Sebastian Stan blanket. Like,
oh, amazing.
For Mother's Day from my husband. And I said in the podcast that I was rubbing my naked body all over
as you should.
So good. We're about to drop out, guys. So
embarrassing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.